Hello and welcome to the Bicentennial Trilogy, Part 2. Tonight's program is The Duke of Vermont. And with me is Carolyn Crowley, the Executive Director of the Vermont Bicentennial Commission, and she'll give you an introduction to what you can expect in tonight's program. Carolyn, give our viewers an idea a little bit about the Duke of Vermont, and perhaps talk about some of the programs being offered during this bicentennial year in a little bit broader perspective.
Sure. The Duke of Vermont is a play that was written for the bicentennial by a professor at Castleton College, Charlie Schaffert, and it's produced with a local act theater group in Rutland, and Rutland's favorite, Ted Pendleton, who's a legislator in Montpelier, is playing the lead role as Ethan Allen. So for those who don't know Ted, it's a wonderful production, and he certainly brings a lot of life to this program. And the Duke is representative of what's happening around the state, writers and of plays or of songs or poetry, to making like totem poles, and like it's happening in Brandon. People are getting involved in the bicentennial, and they're contributing their craft to making this a bicentennial for all Vermonters. And it's something that is wonderful to see happening all around the state, from school children to senior citizens. And so this is just a fine representation of a lot of that action and activity that's percolating all around the state this year.
Well, without further ado, we'll go now to our studios, where our studio technician, Matt Pullen, is standing by, ready to roll tonight's program, The Duke of Vermont.
Ah, winsome sight to gladden a bleary eye on this fine day.
Ethan, I didn't hear you enter.
Like the beast in the forest, I stalk my prey with stealth. You appear most fetching today, my dear.
Jessica will fetch you a cuff upside your ear if she finds you unfaithful to her.
Can I be unfaithful to one who has no faith in me? I have been courting that woman for years, to no avail.
Courting? Is that what you call it? I always thought marriage was the purpose to courting, but apparently not with you.
Marriage? An institution designed to inflict monogamy upon man. An unnatural state. Besides, I prefer not to live in an institution.
And have you thought what that would make you if your parents had preferred not to?
One more bastard in the world would have little impact on the course of history.
Ethan Allen. I'm surprised to see you're on your feet after all that roustering here with your cronies last night. I have a list of damages here. If it hadn't been for Seth stopping you, all the crockery in this place would be broken.
Well, Seth Baxter will get a reputation as a spoil sport if he's not careful. But I know you're charmed by my boyish enthusiasm.
Oh, what the love of malarkey. I do expect that bill to be paid.
Come, take a stroll with me, and I'll fill your head with sweet nonsense.
Don't be long, Jessica. We have to prepare the supper soon.
How Jessica puts up with Ethan, I'll never know. And if I drank as much hard cider as he did last night, I'd still be flat on my back.
Seth, I know how much you like Ethan, but I'm not sure he set such a good example. Oh, he may be a good soldier and leader of men, but I sure wouldn't trust him as a husband.
Well, the Green Mountain boys aren't married to him. Trouble is, Ethan's a man's man who thinks he's a ladies' man. But when it comes to tricking Yorkers out of land grants, or pulling a lion's tail, he has no equal.
Well, when it comes to tricking women out of their pantaloons, he's a failure. Good thing, because there's no telling if he's got a wife and a brood of children tucked away in the mountains somewhere.
Oh, that's not a bad place to be, up in the mountains. These are trying times. Men are like animals fighting over their land. The Yorkers want the grants. The British want everything. Seems like us Green Mountain boys are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Even if we don't have a coastline.
It's all about greed, isn't it? It seems to me there ought to be enough land for everybody.
There's never enough. Well, with New York and New Hampshire granting the same lands, there just has to be trouble. Some of these grants have been going back and forth like one of them seesaws. Well, you remember just last year what happened.
You mean up on Otter Creek?
Governor Wentworth of New Hampshire set aside 500 acres for himself over at New Haven Falls. Somehow Reed, Colonel John Reed, got New York to give him the same lands. Well, there were already settlers from New Hampshire up there. They just set up a sawmill and got their own community started.
Well, what happened to them?
And then Reed and a bunch of those ragtag Yorkers came charging in and chased the New Hampshire men out and took over the land. They thought that was the end. And then Ethan and I and a bunch of us Green Mountain boys got wind of it. We drove Reed and his gang right back over the border to New York.
I remember. Oh, Seth, I was so scared you'd be hurt or even killed. When is this going to end?
It's not over yet, I'm afraid. I just got word Reed's retaking New Haven Falls. Those damn Yorkers don't know when they're beaten. And that's not all. Read this.
100 pounds? Governor Tryon of New York is offering a 100-pound reward for the capture and imprisonment of that lawless vagabond, Ethan Allen.
Who's there? Come in here with your hands up. This is your last chance or I'm coming out there shooting.
Ethan, Allen, what on earth are you bellering about?
I thought I heard someone out there.
A cow got out of the pasture and wandered into the yard. I just put her back.
Oh, you don't know what you don't know what it's like to have a price on your head. I daren't turn my back when I walk down the road. I half expect the Yorkers to jump me from behind every tree. I don't know how long I can go on this way. I know men who would turn in their own grandmothers for 10 pounds, let alone 100.
Ethan, you've got to get a hold of yourself. You can't let the Green Mountain boys see you like this. You're their leader. Well, if Ethan Allen turns tail, what's to become of the rest of us? You must be bold and resolute. Well, someday school children will be reading about your exploits in the history books. Ethan Allen, patriot and hero.
At the moment, I feel more like Ethan Allen, poltroon, and zero. Oh, Jessica, you have no idea the burdens of leadership. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Setting an example for my men when I'm as frightened as they are. Sometimes more so.
It's that hard cider and rum. Leaves you shaking like the leaf most mornings.
I just drank for the toothache.
Toothache? Why, I didn't know you had a toothache.
I don't have a toothache. I ain't ever had a toothache, and I don't ever expect to get a toothache.
Things can't be that bad when you josh me like that.
Well, it's just a matter of time until the Yorkers catch up with me. No telling what that damn Governor Tryon will do with me.
Hang you from the nearest tree, I expect.
This is not a joking matter. If he doesn't do that, he'll leave me to rot in some damp, dingy dungeon, chained to the wall, rats nibbling at my feet, never to see the glorious sunrise again. Oh, why was I born to be a man to endure such an unjust fate?
Yes. Why were you born a man? I think I may just have a solution to this problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hungry enough to eat a horse. Have you seen Ethan today? He drank us all under the table again last night. I don't know how he does it.
He was asleep at this very table all night long, but I haven't seen him since morning.
Well, after supper, I'm going to talk to you, Molly. I have an idea.
Not without a wedding first, Seth Baxter.
My, how you leap to conclusions. You know I'm a gentleman, tried and true. And besides, this has nothing to do with our relationship.
Oh. Well, I have to start thinking about my future, since I'm not sure I'll be working for Jessica here at the Catamount much longer.
What? Why not? Did you have a falling out?
No, nothing like that. Jessica hasn't said anything to me, but her cousin Evangeline's coming to stay with her for a while and maybe working in the tavern as a barmaid.
Evangeline? Well, I've never heard Jessica speak of her. Have you met her yet?
No. Apparently she's not in the best of health. Jessica says she's got something wrong with her throat and can't speak properly.
Seth, Molly, I'd like you to meet my cousin Evangeline. This is Seth Baxter and Molly Windon.
Pleased to meet you.
How do you do?
So nice to see you.
Both my parents have died, and dear cousin Jessica invited me to stay with her. I'm just a poor little orphan.
You seem well fed for an orphan.
Poor Evangeline has led a troubled life. As a child, she ate lye by mistaking it for sugar.
I've always had such a sweet tooth. Oh, I think your friend Seth is so good looking.
He's already spoken for.
I hear all the Green Mountain boys are good looking men, especially that Ethan Allen. I'd like a chance to meet him sometime.
Evangeline is going to help me prepare supper. A nice venison stew. Come along, Evangeline.
That's some woman.
You can say that again.
Sit down a minute, Molly, while we have a chance. I have an idea that could prove beneficial for us both.
I'm all ears.
Seth! Seth Baxter, are you out there? Not like him to miss a meal. Good. Seth doesn't know what he's missing.
Oh, dear.
You'll meet Ethan Allen face to face, Evangeline, in the presence of Governor Troy.
Halt! Hands up. All of you. Remove those masks.
I can explain everything.
You Judas.
A traitor for 20 pieces of silver.
No, more than that. Wait, you don't understand.
I thought you two recognized Ethan and were scheming with each other, so I put 2 and 2 together.
And got 100 pounds. Cheap price to pay for a lifetime of friendship.
Read this. It's to your brother Ira explaining my plan.
You were going to risk my life for this?
Think of the joke it would have been on Governor Tryon and the Yorkers.
You were going to turn in Ethan for the 100-pound reward, and then have Ira and the boys rescue him?
And then Seth was going to give the 100 pounds to Ethan to buy food and arms to fight the Yorkers. I think Seth's plan was brilliant.
Well, brilliant or not, I'm glad Jessica put a stop to it right here. If nothing else, I've learned one lesson from this experience.
What's that?
From now on, Ethan Allen's going to be Ethan Allen. He's not hiding behind any woman's skirts. Not even if they are his own.
Of course, I never did have a cousin named Evangeline, even though she did help Ethan stand on his own 2 feet. Ethan was a brave man, but even brave men need a woman now and then to lean on, and that's where she helped out. Well, the bickering back and forth over the grants continued for a few more years, and then the Green Mountain boys finally put an end to the fear of absorption by the hated Yorkers. In January 1777, the Republic of Vermont was established as a free and independent state, bounded by the Connecticut River in the east and Lake Champlain in the west. Of course, Ethan himself was held prisoner by the Redcoats from 1775 to the spring of 1778. It wasn't until 1791 that Vermont became one of the United States, and a lot was to happen in the meantime. Poor Ethan died in 1789. He might have lived a sight longer if he'd taken my advice one more time. It was his cousin Ebenezer that killed him. I remember it like it was yesterday. A bitter, cold day in February, the 12th as I recall. All the night before, Ethan's cousin Ebenezer over in South Hero had been plying him with strong drink, to which I admit Ethan was no stranger. I reckon they were taking Fort Ticonderoga for the 99th time. In the morning, Ethan took it into his head to haul a load of hay across the frozen water to Burlington. His head must have hurt something fierce, and with the cold and the strain, it just burst. It was a stroke of ill luck. Ethan Allen, dead at 50 years of age. He lies buried over on the Onion River, now called the Winooski. Well, enough of that. Although Ethan wouldn't live to see Vermont gain statehood, he was to continue to have a major voice in the new Republic of Vermont. And again, his decisions ultimately affected the course of history in the Green Mountains. Let us continue our story then at the Catamount Tavern on a summer evening in 1780. If only Molly Windon would spend less time with Seth Baxter, more doing her work. Oh!
Your money or your life.
Who is that?
Governor Tryon holding you for ransom.
Ethan Allen, that wasn't so funny a few years ago.
How about a little Midsummer Eve's kiss?
I don't think you're worthy of it.
It's the most I've ever been worthy of with you. But it's been so long I can hardly remember how many years I've tried to bed you.
'Tis only proper to wed before you bed.
How about bundling with me then?
A Puritan custom honored more in the breach. Well, what would you expect? Putting us two chaste young lovers together in the same bed with only an oaken board separating us?
The old Puritans had many a 10-pound weight, 6 or 7 month baby after the wedding date. But we're not Puritans, are we, Jessica?
We are Vermonters. Whatever that means.
Aye. As I told those damn Yorkers once, the gods of the hills are not the gods of the valleys.
I never have known exactly what you meant by that.
They thought me arrogant, setting myself up as the deity, along with Ira and all the Green Mountain boys, I suppose. You know, I may be prideful and strong-willed, but my love for this land goes beyond that. Those green hills will endure long after we're all dust. What I meant was, here in Vermont, we worship different values, traditions, a way of life. In the mountains, you can feel free.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Certainly none of us will ever be gods.
I declare, Ethan, this is the most serious I've ever heard you talk. not a hint of alcohol on your breath either.
No time for the demon rum yet today, but no doubt he'll catch me yet. Any word from Seth? He should be reporting back any time now.
If anyone would know, it would be Molly Windham, and I haven't seen hide nor hear of her for hours. Sometimes I don't know why I keep her with me. She'd have run off with Seth this time if he'd allowed it.
Well, I'm waiting for the day when you'll run away with me. You know, I'd rather be off with you to my cousin Ebenezer's farm in South Hero to get away from all the fretting we have around here.
It's a pity men can't be satisfied with themselves. Plot, plot, plot. Grab, grab, grab. You know, New York would still like to swallow us up as part of its new state, and the Continental Congress wouldn't do much better by us.
Well, if some of those land grabbers in the Continental Congress had their way, they'd divide us up and give parcels to New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Oh, we'd be part of the United States, all right. But there'd no longer be a Vermont. Yeah, there's got to be a better solution than that.
After all we fought for, it'd be a bitter pill to swallow to see the new republic disappear as if it never existed.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll never be a York or a New Hampshire man. I intend to live and die a Vermonter.
Ethan! Jessica! I just got word. Seth's on his way here now. There's trouble a-brewing.
Where in the world have you been?
Must be those damn Yorkers. They'll rue the day they never captured me.
No, it's not the Yorkers this time. It's the British. Seth sent some of the Green Mountain boys up along the Canadian border.
What did they find?
Seth will be along in a minute with a map to show you. The British, they're strung out all along the border.
What on earth does that mean?
The British may be preparing to invade Vermont.
Excuse me, sire, but can you tell me where I might find Mr. Ethan Allen?
Colonel Ethan Allen, if you please. What business might you have with him?
This is the Mountacat Tavern, isn't it?
The Catamount Tavern. And I am Ethan Allen. Now, speak your mind. I am awaiting an important personage.
I am a weary old man. May I be seated, good sir?
Suit yourself. Only be quick to speak your business.
Oh, I have heard you are a very important person, Mr. Colonel Allen. And I shall be as brief as import and propriety shall allow.
You speak well for one so tattered. I presume you've seen better times?
That I have. But my sad history is not the subject of this visit.
Speak your piece, man.
Do you have proof you really are Ethan Allen?
Proof of me? Shall I drop my pants to reveal my birthmark?
No offense. Your bottle to temper is proof enough. I have heard often you are like the mercury that rises and falls sharply with the temperature. To be blunt, I bring word of your loyal Lieutenant Seth Baxter. Oft have I heard of his honor, bravery, and nobility.
Enough balderdash. Out with it. Where is Seth Baxter? I've been expecting him all evening. That's who I've been waiting for.
Sad as it is to say, you may now wait till eternity.
Eternity? What are you trying to say? What's happened to Seth?
He lies now, not a mile or two from this very place, in a house.
If he's spending the night with some witch when he should be reporting to me here...
'Tis blasphemy to call the Virgin Mary such, Colonel Allen.
Virgin Mary? What does she have to do with Seth?
The greatest Seth Baxter is now with the Virgin Mary in heaven.
He's dead? But how? If those damn Yorkers ambushed him...
'Twas not any ambush. 'Twas an act of God.
An act of God?
An accident. As I was walking along the road into Bennington, a horseman cantered past on a skittish roan.
Seth's horse.
Suddenly, a rabbit, well, some such small animal, darted in its path. It reared up, and the rider was thrown violently onto an outcropping of craggy rocks. Then the horse ran off. But I paid little heed. The man lay broken and bleeding, and as I rushed to succor him, well, there was little I could do. The man lay dying. I took his battered head in my lap and wiped the blood from his brow and asked, "Who be he?" He could barely speak as a life force ebbed from him.
What did he say?
His last thoughts were of you, his beloved friend and fearless leader.
Oh, how many campfires we shared together. How can I persevere without you? Let me imprint his dying words forever on my memory. Speak.
His dying words were, "Tell Ethan Allen that he is, without a doubt, the most gullible fool in the Republic of Vermont."
You rule me! Seth Baxter, may you rot in hell!
I'm truly sorry, Ethan, but there was a purpose to my trickery.
Oh, and what might that be, pray tell?
That I am more cunning than you have yet credited me, Ethan. I've deceived not only you, but more importantly, the British.
Oh, am I not important then?
Oh, do not misunderstand, my friend. All my actions have serious purpose. I trusted my disguise with you, who knows me best, to verify its efficacy. And by chance prove your affection for me?
You prove I know you least, I now think.
Well, how best was I to learn the placement and intent of the British? By sending out scouts and spies to return to tell me what I wanted to hear?
I was sore put to hear that you first sent word to Molly that the British were preparing to invade us. It is I and not your mistress who commands you, and don't you forget that.
I'm certain, however, you will not allow me to do so. But let us not fight among ourselves, for we may soon have real enemies to battle. I myself, as you see me now, went among the redcoats as a peddler, exchanging trinkets for pennies and pieces of information. It seems there's a strong sentiment growing among the British that they should seize Vermont for Canada before the Continental Congress does so.
But are they militarily strong enough to best the Green Mountain Boys?
Not yet, but there's a fresh regiment arriving soon in Montreal, and the troops along the border is continuing to grow apace.
Surely there must be some way to dissuade them from invasion. We have fought too long and too hard to lose our lands now.
I don't know if this missive means anything or not, but as I was passing through Arlington, a stranger approached me and directed me to deliver this to you. I can't say I like being mistaken for a messenger boy.
Someday your vanity will be your downfall. Let's look at this. Does the name Beverly Robinson, Colonel Beverly Robinson, mean anything to you?
Robinson. Beverly Robinson. Could that be the loyalist from New York? What will we be writing to you about?
Well, I shall soon learn. He requests a meeting with me in Arlington 2 days hence. Oh, and Seth.
Yes?
Get yourself some new clothes. You look disgusting.
One for me.
King me!
Seth, you take this game too seriously.
Why, dress is a good lesson in life. Same strategies and tactics, moves and counter-moves, wins and losses, and the same potential for glorious victory. The ultimate triumph of good over evil.
Don't you call me evil, Seth Baxter.
No, not you, Molly, my love. Black has always represented evil. When God cast Ham out of heaven, he turned him black. Now, the devil himself is known as the Black Man.
It's all just a bunch of silly superstition, if you ask me. Black is just another color. Besides, if you're so wise, what does this stand for? The redcoats?
Now you're catching the spirit. If these pieces represented opposing armies, that may well be.
Well, if that were the case, then surely I should be the winner, since you wouldn't want the British to be victorious, would you?
I begin to think you are a cunning as well as a comely wench, Molly Windon.
Playing games, are you? All your chores are finished, I suppose.
Go see how I scoured the pots and pans. Here, the powers of darkness are trying to overcome the redcoats.
May the devil take the lobster backs.
Jessica, you're ruining my game.
Turnabout is fair play for some of those tricks you played on Ethan. Dressing like a beggar and making him think you were dead. Shame on you. Isn't Ethan back from Arlington yet?
I left something on the fire to warm in case he hasn't eaten yet.
That was thoughtful of you, Molly. Ethan told me a mysterious stranger gave you some sort of message for him. I wonder how he knew you were you.
Well, I suppose someone must have described me to him. After all, I'm not just one of the Green Mountain Boys. Well, my personal exploits may be almost as well known as those of Ethan and Ira.
Ethan relies on Seth for his advice, doesn't he, Seth?
I don't want to brag, Molly.
Seth, not brag. That would be like the sun failing to rise.
Have you eaten yet?
More like the pot calling the kettle black, you old egoist.
What was this all about in Arlington?
One question at a time. Yes, I supped upon the way. I have just received the most astounding news. I must swear you all to secrecy. I have just completed lengthy discussions with Colonel Beverly Robinson.
That's a simple Yorker Tory.
Go on, Ethan. What did he say?
Well, Colonel Robinson was quite a convivial tippler. To the point. He recently met with General Frederick Haldeman. Does the name mean something to you?
The Governor General of Canada?
What do you want to contact you for, Ethan?
I think I'm beginning to smell a rat.
Quiet. Go on, Ethan.
Well, the Haldeman spies in Philadelphia, you know there are still a lot of Tories lurking there. Well, they have learned of the Continental Congress's latest plans for us.
Us?
The Republic of Vermont.
Are they ready to grant us statehood?
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it, Seth?
Quite the contrary. According to Haldeman's information, the Continental Congress is ready to tear up Vermont and parcel it out to New York, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts.
Over my dead body.
Does Haldeman have proof of this? It could be a ruse to alienate you from the Continental Congress.
I'm afraid it's true. Robinson showed me copies of secret minutes. They confirm what I've suspected all along.
What treachery. We must prevent it from happening. Not only will the Republic disappear, but so will all our land holdings. Yours, Ira's, mine, everyone's.
Don't think I haven't thought of that.
I don't want to be anything but a Vermonter.
Well, if I have my way, you will continue to be so. All of us will.
And how do you propose we'll do that?
Now listen very carefully and think about what I'm going to say before you react to it.
Out with it, Ethan. What did Robinson say?
He said that General Halderman has been authorized by the Crown to invite the Republic of Vermont to join with Canada.
You mean as an ally?
I mean as a British province.
A British province? That's so loud!
Wait a minute, Jessica. This is intriguing. Tell us more, Ethan.
My brother apparently met personally with General Halderman, and I was sympathetic to the idea.
And what did Halderman promise him personally?
Guarantees of all the Allen's land holdings. The possibility of further grants for all Vermont's leaders.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Vermont? A British province?
In return for all Vermonters losing their hard-fought freedom, a small price. Was there anything else? Any other conditions for allowing ourselves to assume the English yoke?
Well, there was one other condition, one which I must consider very seriously.
What is that?
That I might become the Duke of Vermont.
Your humble servant awaits the command of your lordship.
Don't start first thing this morning. You busted my ears enough last night. As far as I'm concerned, Vermont would be better off as a province than not being at all.
At least we'd still be free if we were Yorkers.
Or New Hampshiremen or Bay Staters.
I can't imagine, after all we've fought for to be free of crown and nobility, that you, Ethan Allen, Vermont patriot, would sell yourself for a title. The Duke of Vermont.
Does have a certain ring.
Duke of Vermont would be more like it.
Jessica, you are not to breathe a word of this to anyone. No decisions will be made about anything until after I meet with Colonel Robinson again next week. I have more immediate concerns.
Such as?
Going out to the barn and seeing about having my mare shot!
Oh!
Jessica, did I hear you and Ethan quarreling just now?
A difference of opinion. He's tempted to sell his soul for a title. The name of Ethan Allen won't be worth much if he goes through with it. Vanity, saith the preacher. All is vanity.
The Bible says that, doesn't it?
The book of Ecclesiastes.
Jessica, you quoting the Holy Book? Will that save us from the Continental Congress?
I'd rather it saved us from your British friends Robinson and Halderman.
British friends? Well, I don't know what you mean.
Seth doesn't like the British. Do you, Seth?
Of course not. Jessica, please explain yourself.
I've been doing a lot of thinking the past day or so. Oh, I know that's not something a woman is supposed to do. But I've done it anyway. I've been wondering to myself exactly what Seth Baxter, Ethan's loyal friend and lieutenant, would gain from us hooking up with Canada.
Jessica...
Now let me say my piece. A royal land grant and maybe a title for you. Of course, there couldn't be two Dukes of Vermont. Maybe a baronetcy. Sir Seth. How does that sound? Your children would be to the manor born.
This is all nonsense. You know I'm just as much a patriot as Ethan himself.
At the moment, that may not be saying much.
I don't want to listen to this.
Oh, look, now you've gone and upset poor little Molly.
Would you make her Lady Baxter? Or isn't a barmaid grand enough to suit your soon-to-be exalted status?
I know. You've always resented my closeness to Ethan, Jessica. But believe me, I've done nothing to keep you two apart. Ethan's his own man. He makes the decisions.
with a little prodding at times from such as you.
Oh, I won't deny that.
Tell me, Seth, was there really a mysterious stranger in Arlington who gave you that letter? Or did you deliver it directly from Robinson himself?
What exactly are you suggesting?
Be seated. I don't want you hovering over me. Who delivered the letter is not important. But I wonder what went on when you were in Canada recently, by your own admission. Did you, along with Ira, happen to meet with the Governor General Haldeman?
What a ludicrous idea. I was spying among the lobsterbacks along the border.
Surely you don't expect me to believe that anyone except Ethan Allen would be taken in by that false nose and that hairy chin. You'd face the British like that, you'd be in a stockade now. If they didn't laugh themselves to death first.
This is absolute nonsense. It's all conjecture. You have absolutely no proof that anything happened any differently than I've told Ethan.
That's true, but you did make a slip-up earlier, and that one I can prove.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jessica.
If you think back a few years, I believe you will. Do you recall what happened in 1773?
1773? Well, a lot of things happened back then. What are you referring to?
Governor Tryon of New York. Do you recall the 100-pound reward he put out for Ethan after he chased the Green Mountain Yorkers out of New Haven Falls?
Of course I remember that. Ethan, Ira and I plan to collect the reward by turning over Ethan and stealing him right back again. But you had to interfere and ruin the whole plan. Yes, I certainly remember that.
You showed me a copy of a letter you wrote to Ira explaining your ruse. Do you recall?
Yes, luckily I made a copy, or you might not have believed me.
I still didn't believe you. So the next time I saw Ira, I asked him about it. He said he never received any such letter from you.
You forget Molly. Do you think she would have gone along with that?
Frankly, yes. She loves you and would believe anything you told her. Maybe that Ethan was planning to betray you and you had to get rid of him first?
You're a very clever woman, Jessica Pritchett, but you still have no proof of any of your allegations.
Do I need absolute proof? Suppose I simply tell Ethan of my suspicions. Do you think he'd continue to trust you, keep you by his side?
All right. Just to humor your overactive female imagination, what do you suggest we do to let this whole female fantasy of yours evaporate into thin air?
When Ethan returns in a few minutes, you just agree with me and support everything I say. If you do, I promise it will not ultimately hurt your interests.
Oh, anything to keep peace and harmony. Oh, and don't say anything to Molly either.
All right. I think I hear the Duke coming now.
Blacksmiths today are highway robbers. What are you two looking so serious about?
Seth and I have had a long talk, and I think we've come up with a plan to keep Vermont free and intact.
Really? What is it?
I'm afraid I'm losing my voice. You explain, Jessica.
It's simple as most good plans are, Ethan. You play along with the British when you meet Robinson again in Arlington. In the meantime, Seth will go to Philadelphia and tell the Continental Congress what you're up to.
Ah, that'll keep the British from invading from Canada, if they think we'll join them as a province.
And if Congress thinks we may join Canada as a province, they might be more likely to invite Vermont in as a state.
This is brilliant. It might just work. There's only one slight drawback.
Oh, I know, Ethan. You may never get to be Duke of Vermont. But you'll always be a prince to me. Besides, would this be a good time for you and I to go visit your cousin Ebenezer over in South Hero? That sounds like just the right place for Ethan Allen to be a hero.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Carolyn, one of the things that impressed me was the tremendous talent, both writing talent and also performing talent, written by Charlie Schaffert, a local writer, and performed by local talent, including Representative Ted Pendleton. One of the things that impressed me, though, was the fact that we really came so close to becoming a province of Canada, and how that would have really altered Vermont history. Imagine that just for a minute, Vermont as a province of Canada.
I really haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it because sort of a what if, but it is an interesting fact in Vermont history that in, I believe, the 1780s, when Congress wouldn't consider allowing Vermont to join the Union because Governor Clinton of New York had serious objections, and he was a very powerful political figure at the time. There is some dispute that the Green Mountain Boys did go up to Canada to negotiate with Governor Haldeman about having Vermont go under the British Empire. And certainly an interesting thing to ponder is Vermont was like between the lion and the bear, with Britain to the north and the United States surrounding us, and Lake Champlain plunging into the United States like a silver dagger, which was certainly access for the British. Certainly a curious proposition of what if happened. As I think this sort of ties in with last week's program on secession, that Quebec is now thinking of seceding. So if we were part of the now of what is the Commonwealth of Canada, what our role would be. So certainly our fates would have changed somewhat if you look at the history of Canada versus the history of the United States. It would certainly alter the map.
And you would be the executive director of the province of Vermont Bicentennial Commission rather than the state of Vermont.
Well, that's probably true. And we would be saluting a different flag. I am pleased that history turned out the way it did. While we have wonderful neighbors to the north, it makes a longer and more even international boundary without jogging down to the Massachusetts border. So
we have to switch gears now and think about next week's program. We're moving into Bicentennial Trilogy Part 3, the Bicentennial Band. Tell our viewers a little bit about how the band came about and what they can expect when they tune in next week.
Oh, well, the Bicentennial Band is has been created just for this bicentennial. It is under the leadership of Gene Childers from Brandon, and it has 36 musicians from around the state. As I said, they have been formed just for the bicentennial. They have had one performance at the State House, and it was very, very well received, and music really representative of Vermont and American music over the last 200 years. This band will tour to about 3 or 4 locations around the state this summer, and will be the finale piece for a big homecoming event, the big bicentennial celebration on August 17th on the State House lawn. And I invite all your viewers to attend the big birthday party in Montpelier on August 17th, and they'll learn more about this as we get closer to that. So I urge your viewers to tune in next week, because I know they won't be disappointed. I hear it's just a wonderful band and wonderful different variety of music, so they should mark that on their calendar.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Be sure to be with us 1 week from tonight when, once again, we bring you Bicentennial Trilogy, Part 3, the Bicentennial Band.